All right, this is just a very short bonus video that I'm adding to my videos this week. Mostly because I've seen so many people cover it. I'm really late to the game. I'm like 2 weeks late to this. But you know what? It is what it is. I'm just going to throw in my opinion. Please keep in mind, I've seen Graphically Alex's video on this, Cynical Dude's video on this, and Big T Bariatrics video on this. And I'm just throwing my 2 cents in with this. I think I also saw Sam had every size cover this, but I don't remember for sure. And it was just something that I wasn't sure whether I wanted to cover or not, but now like everyone's doing it, and I'm like, oh, even though I'm late, I want to throw in my 2 cents now. So let's go ahead and hear what Victoria has to say. She's talking about people like me. So let's go ahead and hear.
The most annoying group of people to deal with as a fat person on the internet is not like the dude bros making fun of me and calling me fat in my comments. It's not ED Twitter taking my videos and making me fat spell, making fun of my body and everything about so that they can starve themselves to not look like. No, it's neither of those. The group that is most annoying and irritated is the morally superior anti-fat activists that take fat people's content from TikTok, cut it up, upload it to TikTok, making money off of our face, our content, our movement, because either they were fat and hate themselves, are currently fat and hate themselves, or just hate fat people in general. I have had.
All right, before she goes on, there are a couple things that I just want to put out there. One, I find it very interesting. She's not the only fat activist to do this, but there's a bunch that are like, they take our faces and they're making money off us. Honey, we are making money if we're making money. I don't make much money off this YouTube channel. I do it half out of habit at this point, and then half because this interests me. It just does. It has this. I have this weird fascination with the fat acceptance movement now, and I'm too deep in it. That like I'm like waist deep in the mire right now, and so like here we are. This is part of the reason why I make the videos. It's not for any particular moral reason at this point, and I don't do it to make fun of fat people. I just have, it's one of the few things that I have strong opinions about, I guess. The strong, and some of you may not even think that I have strong opinions about it, depending on who you are, because I try to take a moderated stance with a lot of what I say. But it's that I don't carry strong opinions towards certain political or social movements very often, but this is one that has really stuck out to me. Um, and it's not due to moral superiority. I just find your rhetoric very frustrating, and I have a strong opinion against it, so I voice my opinion. I'm not making money off you, I'm making money off my opinions in response to your rhetoric. It's a little different, but that's fine if you want to think that I'm making money off you, that's fine. And then also, like, she's going to come back in with the morality later, but there's very little that has to do with morality in this situation, for me at least. Um, but we'll get into that in just a moment. There was also, she also mentioned it, taking their content, cutting it up and uploading it. I don't really cut up your content. I don't cover TikToks that aren't particularly relevant, like a lot of your fashion stuff. I don't cover, but that's not really the same as cutting up your content. I show full clips, the full unedited clips that you upload to TikTok. I just intersperse it with my commentary because, unlike what you think, I'm not just stealing your content to make money off your face. I have things to respond to, and that is why the video is paused, so that way I can respond.
So many of my videos taken and put on the internet to be made fun of by a group of people that I don't know, that doesn't follow.
So yes, that's part of the internet, is people that you don't know are going to see your content and repost it and share it. I don't really understand that point of her argument. I'm sure people will eventually, if they have not already, have taken clips of me and passed it around. Like, that's the nature of the internet. That is the nature of the, I don't understand how you can come onto a public forum, keep your account public, and then be surprised and appalled when people discuss your content, when people share clips of your content with differing views. I don't really understand that perspective.
And every single one takes my arguments in the worst light possible and makes.
So we take your arguments and not. This is another thing that the fat acceptance movement does a lot, is that they either misrepresent my arguments or take them in the worst possible light. We take them as you present them. That is how we receive them. You can't control. It's not necessarily taking, and this is another thing, is that this is a way that they can victimize themselves. So like, they take my arguments in the worst possible light. We take them as we take them. There's not an intentional taking of your arguments in the worst possible light. This is how it comes across to us. If you don't like that, then perhaps you should. A lot of the fat acceptance movement uses absolutist language, which does not help. Not only that, but you guys try to turn everything into a moral argument even when it's not, which just facilitates how we can discuss and we are against your argument and your perspective. There's also a tendency within the fat acceptance movement, Victoria included, in how they overly victimize themselves, which is in general just a pet peeve of mine, which is why I respond to them. But it's not that people are purposefully taking your arguments in the worst possible light. It's that this is how you come across, whether you realize that or not. It's not, and they I have a point to make, but she hasn't said what what I want to respond to most yet, so I'm gonna let her talk.
Me seem like I'm crazy, like I don't know what I'm talking about, like, I'm making everything up. And then like,
So we can't make you seem crazy. um you either come across as crazy because of what you say, and I personally don't even think that you necessarily come across as crazy. I mean, maybe a little bit delusional, but far more self-involved and self-victimization than crazy to me. But that's me.
search through your videos and try and like point out inaccuracies to look for some kind of proof that like fat people are all.
No, it's not that we're looking for inaccuracies. The inaccuracies just kind of present themselves. And it's not even inaccuracies so much as it is contradictory behavior based on whether it is based towards a group that you align yourself with or not. It's a way to show that you have misaligned expectations as well as an inconsistent idea of morality and an inconsistent argument based on whether you like the people or not. That's a big thing for me. I really hate inconsistent arguments where it will favor one group but then demonize the other for the same action. And you guys can talk about, oh, well, don't you do this with skinny people and stuff. I've never been one for mukbangs, regardless. I think it's a bad idea. I don't like it. And I don't really think that it's something that should be posted on the internet. I think I try very hard to be consistent with my internal logic, my internal philosophies, and my internal opinions. Because if I'm inconsistent in allowing it for one group and not another, then that's a reflection on me. And that is something that I actually think that is worth examining within myself. It's the hypocrisy. It's like they always talk about these internal biases. I find uh, hypocritical opinions worth far more in their internal examination than these so-called internal biases that they claim that everyone has, that they should unlearn. I think that it's far more prudent and far more important for you to examine when you allow behavior from one group and not another, and what is causing that, what is the justification there. I think that's far more worth examination than these so-called internal biases, but that's me.
Lying about being happy about themselves. They're all lying about being content in their body. And like there's literally no room for nuance with that. And they all think that they're the good guy.
Okay, that we're getting to the good guy part, but the like no room for nuance. I don't know about you guys, but I think I try to come at this, especially as I've been doing the channel more and I've had a chance to talk with people. I think that there's a lot more nuance in my conversations, and in general, there's some level of nuance to be had in general with the anti-FAs. Fat acceptance creators will allow a level of nuance, but more often than not, they get so defensive that I feel like they're the ones that cut the nuance out. That's me though. I'd like to hear your opinion on this. Now we're getting to morality argument, and I'm gonna let her speak.
That's the crazy. They make these videos, take people's content out of context, post it to a hostile audience, and still think that they are the good guy.
So let's break down that for a moment. They take people's arguments out of context. I post full TikTok clips, full TikTok clips. And if it's like a part two or something and we have not watched part one, and I'm not sure where part one is, I acknowledge that. I fully acknowledge that. I fully acknowledge and preface that I'm not sure where this is coming from. But this is how she's responding to this comment, but I'm not entirely sure what the first part of the conversation was. A lot of creators do that. So it's not really out of context, and this out of context claim seems to be for a way for them to get around discussing your opinions, like our contrary opinions to their rhetoric. Now, saying that you're posting it to a hostile audience, not necessarily. It is definitely an audience that doesn't agree with you. To call that hostile feels up for debate, but I'll even give that to her. Post it to a hostile audience, okay? And think that they're the good guy. This is an issue with the fat acceptance creators that drives me up the fucking wall. It's the good versus bad. You think that you're a good guy. I'm gonna let her finish because there's something else that I want to tie into this.
That's the thing that's the most frustrating, because like they think that they're in the right. Like, you are a villain, you are a bad person. Leave me the fuck alone. The most annoying.
So they think that they're the good guy, you are a villain, you are a bad. Everyone is a villain in someone else's story, and it's important for you to recognize that. And also this saying you think that you're the good guy. I view myself as a very neutral person when it comes to morality. I think I do some things that are good, and I think I do some things that are bad. And morality, in all honesty, in the way that it's spoken here, and whether someone is a good person or a bad person, is functionally useless and does nothing more than to create to prop someone else up on a higher social pedestal. But it serves no functional purpose if you aren't actually doing something conducive to being like for a social good. And even then, there's different levels of morality. There's social morality. There's ecological morality. There's varying levels of morality on top of that. But we're gonna stick to social morality because I think that's what she's talking about here. And to say that you are a bad person, what that says to me is that you view that anyone that disagrees with you as a bad person. So regardless of what they do, the fact that they've taken your content at all means that they can do no right in your eyes, which is a bias on your part. I don't view the fat acceptance community as morally bad per se. There might be a few exceptions with specific creators. I don't view Victoria as morally bad. I think that she is a bit immature. I think that she is a bit delusional, and a couple of different issues that I have in there, and childish, immature, definitely. To say that someone is bad though is unhelpful, because once you've labeled a person as bad, that is going to be a bias you have against them for the entirety, regardless of what they do. So if you view someone as bad, then they can, by definition, kind of do no right. Like, even if they do something good, you'll find some reason to still be like, well, they probably did it for XYZ reason. And in reverse, and I think this applies to Victoria because she talks about someone being a good or a bad person fairly often. She views herself as a good person, and whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't really care. But I think that it lends to her cognitive functioning in that because she views herself as a good person, she will justify any and all acts that she does, even if they are against a social good. If they do not, if they are actively taking down a social good or a social conversation that could help others, but she takes it as personal offense, she will justify that in her own mind and not examine her own actions. This is why I have an issue with people viewing themselves as a good person or a bad person and labeling others as good people or bad people, because it to kind of it's not, I don't know if I fully align. It's hard to bring BoJack Horseman into this, but I've been watching some videos, and I think that Diane had a point when she said, I don't know if I believe deep down, I think you're just kind of what you do. And I think that lends to a level of thought about people that is more constructive, because if you are what you do, then you can change who you are. And that is the general perspective I have. Now, I tend to lump in some level of intention in my perspective of people, but functionally speaking, whether someone is a good or a bad person kind of depends on what they produce, what they do, and how they are perceived. So if she says that, you know, these people are bad people, you are a bad person, you are a villain, I could turn around tomorrow, I could cure cancer, and she would still view me as a bad person and would probably say, well, you probably only cured cancer because of some sort of bigotry. There's a way to rationalize any good that someone does as self-interest if you think they are a fundamentally bad person. And this is why I don't really like this line of thinking, because this line of thinking puts people in a box. It inhibits conversation, and it does nothing to further the conversation. You're just demonizing people. That's my perspective on Victoria's video. I know I'm late to the game. This is just going to be a small little bonus video. It's just going to be a small little bonus video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.